Okay, we are finally starting this vlog. Yay! I feel like I've started this Owlcrate vlog like 4 or 5 different times. I kind of told you guys what happened when I scrapped the other one, but I read like 3 or tried to read like 3 Owlcrate books and I wasn't vibing with any of them. All of them were pretty old on my TBR. Just weren't working for me. I didn't love the writing. I didn't like the content of some of them. It was not working. And I did not want to have a depressing vlog after how awful the Owlcrate and the Fairy Loot was. So finally we have found one that I am enjoying. And I am 50% in and I'm definitely going to finish. Among the Beast and Briars. As long as this ends in a good way, there's no way this gets under a 3-star. I am almost 50% and I'm like 46%, something like that. This one is following our main character, Ceres, and this is definitely like, I love Ashley Poston's writing. I haven't read any of Ashley Poston's like adult romances, but I did read her entire young adult romance series, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. I think it was 4 books. And it's like the Princess and the Fangirl series. I absolutely love that series. So I was really excited to finally get to this, but I was really nervous because we have a lot of animal companions and that normally never ends well. That normally does not end well. So I've kind of just been putting this off. I would have read this a long time ago, but again, I was very nervous that I was going to be upset about animal deaths, etc. And it's very fairy tale-esque feeling. It's just a different type of vibe than what she's written normally, and so I was really nervous because I've loved her books and I was just very scared to go into this thinking it was gonna be just not as good as like my expectations for it, because my expectations for this book when I first got it were incredibly high. Like so high, so I was just, this one just kept getting put off. This is now the oldest book on my Owlcrate list. I have a couple others down there, but we're trying to make it through the oldest ones because I do think that I'm gonna have worse luck with them, maybe, because it's just, I feel like as you get older, I feel like books are generally better the year they come out, although that has been proven wrong lately. But generally I feel like when you buy a book is when you are most interested in it. It is a little bit different with getting them in book boxes, but I did want this when it came out. So if I'd read this when this came out, I probably would have absolutely loved it. And that's kind of how I feel about books, is generally when they come out and your interest is at its highest, and therefore I feel like the best likelihood of you liking it. That is not always the case. There are books that stand the test of time. Anyway, I'm glad this is living up to some of the hype. It's definitely nothing amazing or spectacular. It's kind of just a fun, quick, it reads so fast, young adult fantasy that is, it is a journey book, which is not my favorite. I liked the beginning of this book a lot more than this middle section, but it's keeping enough things interesting, and it is dual POV, so that kind of helps with moving the plot along during this like travel section, that it is keeping my interest. It is getting a little bit iffy towards the center, so I'm hoping something happens that's not just us traveling through the woods. But it's following our main character, Ceres, I think. And it's taking place in this little village, it's kind of like a village, but there's also a small kingdom next to it, because her best friend is the princess and she's about to get crowned, and it's important to be crowned because the ruler who has the crown controls the Wildwood, and the Wildwood has a ton of like evil things in it. And we know that our main character has some sad backstory that's relating to her mother dying, and the princess's brother also went missing because she didn't see him die. Like that whole tragic backstory there, and her best friend is this fox, and they end up getting into some trouble and traveling together and stuff like that. So it is very young adult fantasy coded. Like, I mean, it is what it is kind of thing. Like, there's nothing intense or crazy about this book, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of like a just relaxing read. So I am enjoying it. I don't think it'll be anything lower than 3, thank goodness. So I will update you when I finish this book. That's what I feel like I'm kind of doing, is like get to 50% mark and then updating on it. So I'm enjoying it. I have a feeling I'm either gonna finish this today or tomorrow. I don't think this is gonna last very long. Like, it's such a short book and it's just very fast paced. It's very accessible. Like, it is so easy to read. We're gonna continue reading this. I am reading it on my little Kindle setup where I have the little dongle thing that I can flip the pages. So that is really nice. So that's how I'm reading it. And I'm kind of also reading it physically as well. I'm kind of going back and forth between the two. Like, I don't know. It's really weird how I read sometimes. But this is how I'm keeping engaged with it. I'm also watching The English Teacher, which is a new show on Hulu. And I had no idea it existed, but I am constantly on TikTok. And the guy who's the lead of the show has been doing these dances to like my favorite song, like the Gracie Abrams song is stuck in my head, and he does these funny dances to him like out in the middle like of the street just doing these things, and they crack me up. And his bio is always like, or his like little thing says, go watch The English Teacher, and I'm like, fine, I'll go watch it. So I've been watching that and I'm obsessed with it. I love the show. It's really good. So we're kind of doing a mix of things like that today. It is Friday. I'm going to a Virginia Tech football game tomorrow versus Clemson. So I'll have some footage in here of that. And that's kind of it. Like, it's just chill vibes. It's chill vibes right now.
Parachuting has evolved through modern aviation technology to become the extreme sport of the 21st century. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Sergeant First Class. Up to 90 seconds. The jumpers attach these to one foot with a specially designed bracket. Then tie the activate fish to a line. Why pull it on their line? They can ignite their smoke. Parachute team from Rayford, North Carolina. He's an airborne infantryman with 3,422 free-fall parachute jumps. Watch the minor corrections this jumper is using to bring it into the night target area. Our next jumper is from Dallas, Texas. He's an airborne infantryman with 1,700 free-fall parachute jumps. Sergeant First Class Griffin, 1,400 free-fall parachute jumps. Staff Sergeant Dan Brewer. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our performance for the day. And on behalf of the entire team, I would like to thank each and every one of you.
We have some reading updates. We have quite a few reading updates, which is surprising because I feel like I've been super busy over the past couple of days, but I did end up finishing one. I have DNF'd or tried a chapter one because I did not get to 50 pages. And then I have started another one, which I'm actually pretty excited about. So let's start with what we have finished. So we did end up finishing Among the Beasts and Briars, but I look tired. I feel exhausted. And it shows. It shows that I'm so tired. And I've got to make sure the house is all clean because I have a friend coming over later today. She's gonna stay the night and then go home the next morning. So I gotta make sure everything is clean. Ugh, I'm so tired. We went to the Virginia Tech football game yesterday, stayed the night in Roanoke, and then drove back this morning. And it's not like a super short drive. It's not a long drive, but it's not a short drive either. And now I'm just so tired. So, finished Among the Beasts and Briars, like I said. This is a 3.5. I'm gonna give this a 3.5. I definitely think that this is just one of those pick this up when you want to have like the vibes. Like, this isn't anything super special. It's well written as usual. Like Ashley Poston, her books are always well written. They're engaging, the characters are interesting, it's an interesting plot line. It's just, this has been done a lot. Like, this is just one of those stories that's girl is the only one who survives like this attack thing, and she now is in charge of these powers that she didn't think that she would have to deal with, and she goes on an adventure and she has to have her like travel companions with her, and she falls in love with the travel companion. So it's very much a very generic story. It's a very generic story. You can pretty much guess all of the twists. I feel like these twists are so obvious they're not really twists in this. So if you want something that's like, oh my gosh, I definitely would not read this. This is literally just, I want something chill and quick and foresty vibes. I want something that's very fairy tale-esque. I want something that's just happy and it's a good time. So I would pick this up. The romance is cute. I did very much enjoy the romance. Like I said, I like the characters. The setting was great. It was generally just a fun time. So I think a 3.5, it's not super memorable. When I do my wrap up at the end of the month, I'm going to struggle to remember a ton about this book. Like, I know now I am definitely going to struggle a little bit when I talk about this book. Because I feel like I generally enjoyed it, that's why it's not a 3. Because 3 pretty much is like, this book exists, I enjoyed reading it, but I'm not going to remember much about it. I think I'm going to remember the characters in here, but not really the plot. The plot is just so generic, I'm not gonna remember the plot. But I did enjoy it. I would recommend it if you don't have anything else you really want to read. That's kind of where this one's at. So I'm glad I read it. I'm definitely gonna keep my copy of this, but it was fine. It was fine. It was cute. It's actually funny because I'm going to be showing my Fairy Loot copies because I also have Fairy Loot copies of some of the books that I'm trying, because Owlcrate and Fairy Loot match up, or they used to match up a lot. Like, a lot. I think they're matching up again the next couple months too. They match up a ton. They have a very similar taste in books compared to Owlcrate. Owlcrate rarely matches up with any other book boxes. So I definitely get doubles of some of these, and it makes it extra sad when I end up not liking them, because then I have 2 copies to get rid of. But then at the same time, I at least am getting rid of more books, and I'm kind of whittling down my TBR. So we ended up trying the Ivory Key. So this is the Owlcrate edition. It is so pretty. It's so beautiful, and I am so upset about it. And then we also have the Fairy Loot edition. It's funny because I thought this was the Owlcrate for some reason, even though it's paperback. Just, I don't know what it was. I just saw it and I was like, this is the Owlcrate one. No, this is the Fairy Loot one. This is they put this in with as like an extra copy or whatever, like you got a second book 1 month. So this is the Fairy Loot copy, and this is the Owlcrate copy. And it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Unfortunately, this one definitely did not work for me. So I think this is the case of this can work for a lot of people. This definitely did not work for me. As far as I got in this book, there are 4 different points of view. 4 different points of view, and I had the hardest time keeping track of them. I got to a point where I didn't even know what characters we were talking about, and I think we were supposed to know the character. Like, it was like, remember the time this happened? And I was like, no, I don't remember that. I don't know who this character is. Have we talked to them before? And like, the conversation just kept going in a way that I was like, we've been introduced to this character and I literally don't remember them. So the problem really was the 4 different points of view, because I think the writing is actually really, really good in this. I don't know if I could tell you what this is about because the 4 different points of view, everyone has their own thing that they're doing, which just bogs a book down. I've talked about this over and over and over and over and over again. This is the same problem in Masters of Death. It's the same problem with the Atlas 6. The story gets so bogged down with all these different plot lines and all these different characters. Like, there's no purpose to have 4 characters be main characters and every single person have their own plot line. There's just, it's so annoying for me. It is incredibly rare that I like a story that has so many plot lines. It has to be executed immaculately. And normally I only like it if it's like the 4th or 5th book in a series. That's when I'm okay with it because I'm already established with the other characters, so I know what's going on, and therefore it's easier to introduce new plot lines and new characters. This one just, I mean, pretty much, I feel like every book that has more than 2 characters, I'm likely to DNF, or at least like I'll try 3 characters and I'll be like, still kind of confused. But generally, if they start getting higher than that, I'm just like exhausted. It exhausts me. I think some people are really, really going to enjoy this book. I think there's some really cool aspects of it. Like I said, the writing is really interesting. I just cannot with 4 characters. If I do not know what is going on, I'm not enjoying it, and I wasn't enjoying this whatsoever. So unfortunately, I think I got to like 45 pages and I called it quits, which I'm very sad about. The book that we just started, I'm trying to remember how many pages I'm in. I'm not super far into this one. I want to say I am 2 chapters in. Am I on chapter 3? I think I'm in chapter 2, but the chapters are really long. So I'm at like page 34. That's what I'd say. I'm about page 34. And we're reading Violet Made of Thorns. I'm actually really enjoying this. It's very simple. Maybe my brain just wants simple books right now. But this is the Owlcrate copy, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. I wish there were sprayed edges, but that's fine. I can actually do the sprayed edges myself. And this is, I mean, it's just so pretty. It's so pretty. And it's just one of those classic cases of our main character is, I kind of like her better. She's very stubborn, very in your face. I like that type of character. And she is the seer for a kingdom, and she is working for the king, but she is trying to prod the prince, who she and him they do not like each other. They do not get along, which sets up a really fun romance between the 2 of them. And it's a standalone. I love standalones. I really like reading standalones. So she has to like do this prophecy thing, and something goes awry with the prophecy and she has to work with the prince. So it's just fun. This is really just a fun time so far. This, like I said, this is the Owlcrate copy, and then this is the Fairy Loot copy. I love how this is turning into like an Owlcrate / Fairy Loot video, but I think these are the only 2 that I have slated. Oh, that's pretty. That's really pretty. And I think this is just what I need right now. So anyway, we're gonna keep reading this. I have sports stuff to watch today. It is a Sunday. We watch all the sports on Sunday. Yeah, but I should have time for this. I have it on Kindle so I can lay down and heat my back and just stare at my Kindle and do the little page turner thing. And that tends to get me through books pretty fast. So we're gonna do that. I am cleaning the house, so I am listening to, I'm gonna start, oh, what is it called? Lies I Tell? No. Tell Me No Lies? What is the book called? Listen to the lies. Something like that. It's probably gonna be a Goodreads pick, so I was trying to like guess Goodreads stuff and read the books ahead of time to see how many I can read and if I have to read any, because I really want to do a couple of Goodreads challenges this year, but I don't know how that's gonna go. I feel like it never goes well. Anyway, I'm gonna continue reading this and do chores and watch sports, and that's where we're at. So I'll let you know when I get through more of this book. It's been a long morning. It's been such a long morning. I've been up since 5:30 editing a video so I could go out today, the Goodreads Choice Awards thing, because I wanted it to go out for a premiere this morning. And then I have been waiting for the plumber, but he's not going to get here until late afternoon, it turns out. So I've been waiting for him for nothing. And I've been finishing this. I have officially finished this. And boy, was this a roller coaster. I think I hate this book. Like, I think I legitimately hate it with my entire soul. Like, I so despise so many things that happen in this. It was such a roller coaster though, because I started off really liking it. Then after like 60 pages, it got really, really boring. And I was like, okay, maybe I should DNF it. But I was like, there's no really good reason to DNF it. It's just a little boring. And the character is annoying me a little bit. Violet, the main character, is very annoying. But I was like, okay, this could be a really good character arc later on. And then I got to like page 150 and it was really good again. Well, it was okay. The plot still was not great, but the romance kind of kicked up and I was like, okay, this is like, it's getting better. And then it fell off a cliff. Like the ending absolutely fell off a cliff. This is supposed to be like enemies to lovers, but it's like enemies to enemies who hook up. Like they don't like each other. I don't care how many times they say they love each other in this book. They legitimately don't like each other. They cannot stand to be in the same room as each other, and they hate each other until the end of this book. Like, this is not a romance. This is so incorrectly marketed, it's not even funny. I also think this is supposed to be fairy tale, and it does feel very fairy tale-esque. I think it's supposed to be like a prequel to Beauty and the Beast, kind of. I don't know, because it has to do with beasts randomly started showing up in the book, and it was just so weird. It was so badly done at the end of this, and there's like a random witch that shows up. It was so strange. I feel like this is the most random, worstly plotted out things that I've read in a very long time, and I'm realizing I really should just DNF stuff. This is the first book I've tried to push myself through, and it's gonna be, I'm between a 1 and a 2. There were some parts that I liked about it, but like nothing came together. Like all the good parts were wiped away by the shitty parts. It was such an unsatisfying end of a book. It was so unsatisfying. It feels like there should be a second one. And that epilogue was so goofy. I think I'm gonna give it, this is probably gonna be on my worsts. This is gonna be on my worst list. I really think I hated this. I think I'm going to give it a 1.5 because it did hook me in at one point. I'll give it a 1.5. I'm so tempted. It just kept going down. I read the whole book and I was like, oh, this is kind of up to a 4. And then I was like down to a 3. And then it was down to a 2.5. And then it was down to a 2. And then I got to the end and I'm like, is this a 1? Is this a 1 star? Why is this so bad? So yeah, this was not good. I do think it's written well. Like, the writing is actually really good. But these characters are vile. Like, they all suck. I hate them all. And this was not a romance at all. So yeah, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I'm so over it. I don't know what to read for Owlcrate. I feel like I need to not read Just What's Next, because I think A Lesson in Vengeance is one that I was supposed to read. That technically should have been before this one. But I do better when I also have the Kindle because I can read it before bed. And I get a lot of reading done, like, in the dark before bed. So I like to have the Kindle. But I don't know if I want to do that because I don't think that has great ratings either. This had, like, a 3.5. And I get why. It should be lower. I'm going to put it as a 2 on Goodreads, though, by the way. I always forget about that. They really need to add, like, the half stars. What else can I read? I have A Forgery of Roses. I don't know what else I have. I'll just let you know when I pick something up. I think I'm just gonna, like, pick something that actually sounds interesting. That is close to an early release. But so far this isn't going, like, great. I thought I was gonna like Among the Beasts and Briars more than I did. I thought I was gonna like this way more than I did. And it's just not going super well. I also think Among the Beasts and Briars, the more I sit with it, I think it's actually just a 3-star. I don't think it's a 3.5. I think I originally rated a 3.5. I think it's more of a 3-star. It was just fine. It's just very unmemorable. So yeah, this is going well. We have a 1.5 and a 3. Let's go find something else to read. Okay, I am leaning down because I'll be up here. But I figured I would do a little bit of a book haul. I did go to the bookstore yesterday. So my friend visited. I don't know what vlog I said that in or what video I said that in. My friend did visit, and we ended up going to the bookstore because it is my birthday month, which is funny because we were just buying books. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it's my birthday month. So I bought more. And then she ended up buying me one because she's like, you have to have the second book to go right into it or you'll quit the series. And I was like, this doesn't sound like a great series that I want to read, but you'll see what I mean too. You're going to know what the series is. So anyway, first is a book that I actually got off Amazon. It is Dracula Daily. This is really, really cool. It is basically Dracula cut up into these like sections, and there's like commentary on the side, and there's enough space for you to put your own commentary, and it just kind of puts it into these like bite-sized chunks where you read it like basically a section a day, and it goes like, you're actually supposed to do it with like starting May 3rd, and it started as this like newsletter thing. So if you had a passage to read, you would read it that day. They'd send you an email saying, hey, this is what you read today, but there could be days that go by without anything going on. But we're reading Dracula for Katie Coulson's Patreon, and I do not like Dracula, and this was actually the way that they said it was better to... I wish that we had read it this way in like high school. Obviously it wasn't like, you know, this wasn't a thing in high school because that was a very long time ago. But Dracula was one that I really hated, that I felt like I could actually really enjoy if I didn't have to read it the way that it was presented. So there's a podcast that reads these out to you. It's like dramatic reenactments. It's so interesting. And then you have this with, like I said, all of the... like it divvied up into days. So this is just a very easily digestible way of doing Dracula, and it's much more interesting than just reading it. So I'm very excited to have that. And it was on sale on Amazon, which I don't love buying things off of Amazon because a lot of times they come messed up and it's just not great. But I could not pass up the deal on that because it is kind of expensive for a book that I still don't know if I'm gonna like because I didn't like it the first time I read it. So then we have the book haul from yesterday. We went to an indie bookstore that I haven't gone to yet because I can't parallel park. My husband is always like, I just never want to drive up there when my husband has his days off. There's so many other things that I want to do. So I just haven't been by myself. And she was like, oh, I can parallel park. So she took us there. Genius parallel park level. I mean, so good at it. So I can parallel park. It makes me nervous. I'm terrified of hitting other cars. So we went up there, and it was a cute store. There was 2 cats, and they ignored me the whole time. I was very sad. But it was a good bookstore, and I ended up picking up Phantasma, which is our book club pick for, I think it's either February or March. I don't remember which one it is. I think it's February. Yeah, because it's a tie still for January, then it's Phantasma, and then I believe it's, oh shoot, what is it? The Grady Hendrix, I think, in March. I might have some stuff slipping around, but those are so far, well, it seems like the picks. So anyway, I got Phantasma. I really want to read it now, but I'm not going to do it. I promise. Then we went to Barnes & Noble, and I picked up The Bridge Kingdom. I don't know why I did this. I did not like her other book, but the cover is so pretty. And I cracked. And I heard better things about this than A Fate Inked in Blood. So hopefully this is a lot better, and I really like these covers. Then I also picked up, this is the one she wanted me to pick up, Guild. I have somewhat read the first one, so I know kind of what I'm in for, but she said basically just look for the fantasy stuff in it instead of focusing on the more smutty parts of the book. So I was like, okay. So she bought me the second book so that I had to go into the second book the second I finished the first book. And they had the hardcovers, but I actually like the paperbacks way better. I think the paperbacks are way prettier. And the hardbacks are huge, and I don't actually like the edges on the hardbacks. Like, they're not actual gold. They're like this weird yellow mustardy color. Then the last one I picked up that I am hoping to read before the end of this year, and I kind of want to read it for the Goodreads Choice Awards stuff, is The Tainted Cup. I've heard such good things about this. It seems like something I would absolutely adore, and I definitely want to read this. So that was kind of my mini book haul for my birthday month. That's all that I'm getting for books-wise for my birthday month. And I already got new headphones. So that should be it for birthday things. But anyway, that is the update. I still haven't picked what I'm reading. Next. And I probably won't for a little bit. I need a little bit of a break. I need a break after reading that awful, awful book. So familiar again? I've been up and walked around, had lunch. It's like 2 o'clock. I just came back to this position, and this hurts my neck. I don't know why I'm sitting like this, because it's not doing me any favors. But I actually did sleep a little bit. Thank goodness. I feel a lot better than I did earlier. But I did attempt my next pick, and I have nothing against this book at all, but I am DNFing it, aka mini DNFing, because I didn't get to 50 pages. And I actually picked this one because this was on my favorite shelf. So I have a 50 page bookshelf in my bedroom that has all of my favorite books or books that I think are going to be 5 stars, and I accidentally put some stuff on there that shouldn't be on there. Like, I got lazy. Instead of dispersing the books correctly in my house, I put some on there after some unboxings, and this was one of them, and it turned out to be an Owlcrate. So I was like, hey, let me just pick this one up. This one has a lot of really, really good ratings, but this is kind of like almost a try a chapter issue, because I didn't think I was gonna really enjoy this one, because it seems like historical fiction mainly. And so I finally picked up The Warm Hands of Ghosts, and yeah, I fell asleep while reading it twice. I can see why people really love this book. I don't agree. Like, I'm also trying to read some stuff in the Goodreads categories relating to these videos, because that'll kind of put me through some more of the Goodreads choices. And this is not, I mean, I can see why it's historical fantasy, but I would actually put this in historical fiction. I think the historical aspect of this book is way more important than anything else. Like, it is so heavily enmeshed in the historical fiction aspect side of this story. So beautifully written. It's so gorgeous. But I am so not interested in historical fiction. I am so bored by it. I don't care, which is like a terrible thing to say, but it's just one of those genres I do not like. If you're gonna give me historical fiction, I have to have a romance in it. I don't know what that means as a reader, but I like romance pretty much in all my books except for mystery thrillers. I don't need romance in those books. But if I read historical fiction, it's got to have some sort of romance thing going on. And this is a sibling story. And on top of that, I really don't like sibling stories either. So, although this book seems like it'll be beautiful and it has gorgeous writing, this is the same author as the Bear and the Nightingale series, I literally can't. I literally can't, because I'm falling asleep and I cannot find my attention span to save my life. So unfortunately, this is a DNF just because this is the wrong genre for me. Like, it will not work. The audiobook is really good though. I will say that. The audiobook is really, really interesting. I really like the narrator. Didn't love the narrator for the brother. I was not a fan of him. But the female narrator for the sister was phenomenal. Like, she was so good. Still fell asleep. Still fell asleep. I don't know what it is about historical fiction. So anyway, that is a mini DNF. Okay, you might hear my dog running around. I just got home from the grocery store and he is not handling that I was gone very well. And he's just been like running around for no reason. I keep trying to put him on the couch or up on the bed and he's just having none of it. So he's just running around having a great time. I don't know what's going on. Normally after I've been somewhere, he'll like chill and just like lounge because he's happy that one of us is home. Not the case right now. So anyway, I read something. I did an update. I read it pretty much in one sitting and I did not go the route that I thought I was gonna go. Because again, I was trying to read the oldest books because that's like just what I need to get there. I've had them for a really long time and they're the ones that I'm the least interested in. The longer it goes on, the worse level of interest that there is. But because I had such a rough time with Violet Made of Thorns and Among the Beasts and Briars was just fine, I was like, okay, let's try something else. So I tried Warm Hands of Ghosts and that didn't work. That's historical fiction. That is not fantasy. I would not classify that as historical or fantasy. That was kind of odd and I don't know why it's in the fantasy category either. Like, now that the Goodreads Choice Awards are out, it's weird. Like, just because there's a ghost in something doesn't mean that it's fantasy. Maybe it gets more fantasy later, but it definitely struck me as historical fiction and that's it. So then I was like, okay, let me just pick one that I'm interested in. So then I was gonna read Silver in the Bone, I think is what it's called, by Alexandra Bracken. I've had good luck with Alexandra Bracken before with lore. I actually really like that book. A lot of people did not, but I did. So I was like, okay, let me read this. And then I didn't, and I ended up picking up the oldest book that I had left on the TBR, and I am so happy I did. So I picked up A Lesson in Vengeance. It has a terrible rating, which was one of the reasons I didn't want to read it. It has about the same rating as Violet Made of Thorns. And so I was like, oh man, this is gonna be like the same reading experience. I'm so nervous. But I could not have been any more wrong. So this is the book, but this is what I read it in. So we're gonna hold this up because I loved reading it in this dust jacket. So Lesson in Vengeance is following our main character Felicity, who whose girlfriend died the year before at this prestigious academy, boarding school academy thing that they go to. And it was kind of like a really traumatic death, and she doesn't know how to function, and she took a year off, and now she's back at the same school where the girlfriend died, and she has to make new friends, and there's mysterious things going on, and there's a backdrop of historically the school is like witches, and people who thought they were witches were the ones who created the school, and there has a history of like death. And this is so good. This is so good. I love this book. It doesn't get a 5-star. I am gonna give it a 4 because there are a couple of issues with this book, but I feel weird holding this up when it should be this. Overall, I love this book. I 100% understand why people don't though. I would not recommend this to people. It's such a specific recommendation that I would have to actually know you and know exactly what you read and like things about you to recommend this to somebody. So I wouldn't recommend this to the general audience who likes dark academia, because this is very dark academia. This is the type of dark academia I like, but it's definitely not going to be everyone's cup of tea. So morally gray, so incredibly morally gray, unreliable narration, unreliable everybody. And I think this was just really marketed incorrectly. I'm really glad I went into this with zero expectations, like literally with my expectations on the floor, and I had really no idea what this was about other than dark academia things. I'm so happy I didn't know this because this is marketed so incorrectly. This, first of all, the first tag is fantasy. This is not a fantasy book. No, this is like, there's mention of witches, but like I said with Warm Hands of Ghosts, just because there's a ghost in it doesn't mean it's fantasy. Like, no, just because there's witches mentioned this does not mean that this is fantasy. This is more of a mystery, slow burn thriller. I would actually go slow burn thriller is what it really is, because really not that much happens in this book. The point of the book is this slow descent into possible madness, and it's so good. It's so good, and I'm obsessed with it. I don't know, because I hated The Secret History, but for some reason this did give me some Secret History vibes. So I think if you liked, too many people like The Secret History though, and I did not like The Secret History, so that's a hard, if you liked The Silent Patient and Secret History and maybe The Atlas 6, no, I really hated The Atlas 6 too. I'm trying to think of something else that I really, really like. Ninth House, a little bit. Then I think it's not like Ninth House at all. I don't know how to recommend this. It's so niche of what it is. So, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. Again, there were some issues. This flirted with a trope I really don't like. And I'm actually going to give like a small it's not really spoilers. It's going to talk about what the trope is. So that could be spoilers for some people who don't like anything about a book talked about. But I'm going to talk about in like the most generic of scenarios. So I'm going to put spoilers on the screen, and we're just going to talk about the trope very quickly because this is the reason it did not get a 5-star. So spoilers for the trope that it flirts with is mental health. I don't love that in books. I don't love when everything can be explained by our main character being crazy, and it flirts with it. I don't think it goes all the way there. I think it actually does a really good job of what it turns out to be going on, because it is a little bit of that. It's a little bit about human nature, a little bit about a bunch of different things combined into one. So I don't think it goes there. Like, you're not going to get to the end and it's going to be like, oh, she was hallucinating the whole thing. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. I hate that shit. So it doesn't do that, but it does flirt with the idea of that, and that can get on some people's nerves. Okay, end of spoilers. Back to your regular show, your regular programming. I read it with this dust jacket on it, The Life of Lethe, which is why I said Ninth House, because this is, what is it? Procedures and Protocols of the Ninth House. I don't think it's anything like Ninth House, but the dark vibes felt so right. It felt so right. I feel like this is finally actually dark academia, but it is not a romance. That's the other thing. This is not a fantasy. This is not a romance. There's a sapphic relationship, but this is in no way a romance. If you like There we go. I have it. If you like The Secret History, if you like Killing Eve, but without the humor, there's not really any humor. It's Bloom. Bloom is very close to what I would say this is like. If you make Bloom a young adult full-length novel primarily about dark academia, this is Bloom. So again, take that with a grain of salt, because not a lot of people like this. So this is like a enter at your own beware kind of book, but I vibed with this book. Okay, so this is our stack. We did have Among the Beasts and Briars, which was a 3-star. We had a Violet Made of Thorns, which was a 1.5. That one was really, really bad. Ivory Key, I think I was just bored. I literally don't remember. Warm Hands of Ghosts, I think tons of people will like that book. It's just not my genre, and just I'm not interested in that level of historical fiction, plus no romance in it. So I think Warm Hands of Ghosts will be for many, many people, but it was not for me. And then A Lesson in Vengeance was a 4-star, potentially 4.5. I might change depending on what happens this month. Yeah, I think it was like, I want to say it was successful, but it really wasn't. But it got me through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more books, and I will be only keeping one of them. I will be keeping Lesson in Vengeance. Well, no, I'm going to keep Among the Beasts and Briars because I have a bunch of Ashley Pawson books. So I enjoyed that one. I generally enjoyed that one. So this is the stack. This is what we got through. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe so you miss any future content. I don't know what we're working on next. I think it's going to be a lot of Goodreads stuff we're doing over the next month. Definitely let me know down in the comments down below if you have read any of these, or if you're interested in reading any of these, or if there's any Owlcrates I haven't read that you think I would be interested in, because we're still sorting through them and trying to catch up. So that is everything I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.